Hi, I'm James Malfitas from Regular Clients. Let me walk you through the system that's going to generate you 2 to 5 appointments every single week in just 15 minutes a day without you having to post content. Of course, you can if you want to, and it does work better if you do, without having to cold call or spend money buying leads or appointments, or if you're just tired of that unpredictability of waiting for referrals. So as you can see, there are 3 steps to it. So the first is all about preparation. The second is all about connecting. And the third is about converting. And each of these steps has 3 different parts. So step 1 is to define your ideal client. Everything starts with your ideal client. And listen, that's not anyone who can buy your product or service. It's actually a group of people who share a very specific, similar set of characteristics that make you or your product or service the perfect fit to solve a really big urgent problem that they have. And LinkedIn's a gold mine here. Every single profile contains structured data. For example, LinkedIn forces one to select an industry. So if, like me, you serve an industry where I work with accountants and financial advisors, it's actually very easy to find them. But that's just the start. LinkedIn also asks for other information, like your job title. So I might be looking for a CEO or an HR director, a storeman even, or maybe an owner or a founder. And this gives us quite a lot of scope to decide whether we want to deal with business owners or employees or both. And then you can stack even more information on top of that. How long have they been in business? How long have they been in their current role? How many employees does the company have? Where are they located? And all of this really goes ahead to help us to be very, very specific in finding the exact person that we're looking for. Step 2 is to craft your magic message, as I like to call it. LinkedIn calls it your headline. But think about it this way. When you send a connection request, because people are curious, they're going to go and check out your profile. And based on the message that you're sending, they're going to decide whether to accept it or not. So what message do you need to get most of them to say yes? Well, that's the message that we craft. A message that's very specifically crafted for your ideal client based on their characteristics and what matters to them, making it fairly obvious that you actually understand their problem and, of course, that you have a solution for them. And we use this then to go ahead and to build a LinkedIn profile. And that's step 3, building that client-facing LinkedIn profile. So think of your LinkedIn profile as a one-page sales page. So it's not your resume. It's not your job history. In fact, it's not even about you. It's actually all about your ideal client. What is it that they want? What's the problem that they're trying to solve? And how do you help them to do that better or faster or easier than anybody else? We'll then take your ideal client and your message, and we'll translate that into a profile that speaks directly to your ideal client, making them feel like, you know what, this person really gets me. This profile is really designed to resonate instantly. And because of that, it actually does quite a lot of the selling for you, even before conversations on LinkedIn start. Step 4 is to find your audience using LinkedIn or Sales Navigator. So with your profile in place, now we've got to move to the next step, which is connecting. And LinkedIn will allow us to find 100 to 200 of these ideal clients every week using the filters on LinkedIn or Sales Navigator if that's what we need. And then, of course, we can send them connection requests. And that's step 5, to send a connection request and then a second message, a thanks for connecting message after we've done that. So when you send the connection request to that list that you've chosen, around 30 to 60% of them will typically accept, which means that you are getting an additional 120 to 240 plus people, prospects, every single month. And once they accept your connection request, then we immediately send a simple, friendly thank you message. This is just a follow-up and it's not a sales pitch, right? And this little small sequence creates quite a lot of momentum. People then often go back to your profile, and if you think about it, many of them are seeing your profile for a second time. And because of your message and your profile resonating, they actually start conversations. Step 6 is to introduce email to overcome what I call the timing problem. You see, once they accept your connection request, LinkedIn gives us their email address. And this means that we can speak to them through 2 channels, obviously LinkedIn and email. And we found that email literally doubles and in many cases actually triples the amount of appointments that we book. And this is a complete game changer because often timing is really the only issue. People see your message, they mean to come back to you, but they don't, right? Because life gets in the way. Well, email follow-up gives us and them, for that matter, actually a second chance at this. Step 7 is to follow up on the two channels that we've chosen, LinkedIn and email. So if somebody connects with you and they show interest, right, then you can go and you can check out their profile in detail. And if you think that it makes sense, you move the conversation forward and eventually you just ask them to jump on a call. You can say something like, hey, why don't we jump on a call and I'll quickly explain how this thing works. And I promise you, most people will actually say yes to that. And it really is that easy to book a meeting. What happens though for those people that don't book right away? Well, that's where we follow up by email. One of my personal email automations sends out 9 emails over 6 weeks. Now I know this works because I book calls from every one of those 9 emails with different people, right? That's because some people respond to email 2, some take 5 emails to be ready, and some take 9. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that they actually eventually take action. So now what's happening is we're building warm conversations in 2 places, both on LinkedIn and on email. So that means that we're booking meetings consistently. Step 8 is automation, and to be honest with you, much of the system is already being automated, either partially or fully. So that would be things like your connection requests, part of your LinkedIn messaging, and definitely your email follow-up. But we don't automate everything. We automate what should be automated, and we personalize the rest. And that's what keeps this thing real and human and effective. But automation does do one very important thing. It does all that heavy lifting, and it actually ensures that you remain consistent. And just for the record, no, you don't actually need to automate messaging if you don't want to. Step 9 is to close the sale. So when they do jump onto this meeting with you, the truth is that they're actually quite qualified, which means that you've got a really good chance of converting them into clients. So why are they qualified? Well, let's just run through this one more time, right? Right in the beginning, we've chosen them very strategically. We've thought this through. Then we found that group of people who share a similar set of characteristics. Remember, the kind of characteristics that make you or your solution perfect for them. Then we've created a message that's just for them, not for everybody. And we built a sales page, or rather a client-centric LinkedIn profile that speaks directly to their needs. Then we go out and we find 100 to 200 of those people every single week, and we send them a connection request. And because of this, all of the strategic work that we've done, we found that roughly 15% of our meetings come from just a connection request, which is quite incredible. Why is that? Well, because the first thing that someone does when they receive a connection request from you is think, who is this person sending me a connection request? And they go and they check out your profile. And if it resonates, and it should, right, because of all the structure that we've put in place, they're going to accept that connection request, and often they'll start a conversation with you. Let me say that again in case you missed it. It's very important. They start the conversation with you. And that's the beauty of this particular process. Then we send a second message. Not a pitch, just a thank you for connecting message. Now, there are some interesting things that we put in this message, but people love this message. And a lot of them go back to your profile, and for many of them, that's the second time that they're seeing it. And that's when the penny actually drops and they think to themselves, hang on, you know what, I meant to connect and reply to this person last time. I didn't do so, so I'm going to do so now. And that's why we now get another 30 to 35% of our meetings coming just from that second message. The rest, well, that comes from email. Maybe it ends up being a 50-50 split. Half of your meetings from LinkedIn and the other half from email, all because of the structured follow-up process that we put in place. And that's why it works, because you've chosen them strategically, they've seen your profile, they've started the conversation, and all we've done is to put ourselves in front of the right people. And if they're ready to talk, they will. It doesn't really matter whether it's via LinkedIn or via email, because once there's some engagement, we can then suggest a meeting. And when they say yes and they arrive at the meeting, they're not just some random lead. They've actually been through an entire process in the background. They've been nurtured, which means that they're actually quite warm. So when you speak to them, you're not persuading them from scratch. You're simply validating. And if all the usual conditions for a sale are present, things like they like you, they trust you, it's affordable, the timing's right, they've got internal buy-in because the spouse or the partner said it's okay, then you're going to probably close that deal. And if not, don't worry, you're not losing them. They're just going to go into your pipeline for later. And because of everything that I've just explained to you, this system delivers 2 to 5 appointments every single week consistently. Now, if you're still watching this video, chances are that you've just been through this very same system that I've just explained. And that's how you know that it works. So if this resonates, book a call with me to see if you're a fit or not. And if not, no worries, but I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it, and I don't take that for granted. So just before I go, what I haven't actually mentioned up till now is that we have some awesome AI integrations that really make the system easy to implement and to operate. Many people find that just exploring the AI side of LinkedIn worth booking the call. So hopefully you're going to be one of them, and I look forward to chatting to you soon. So cheers for now. Yeah, come on. You know you need it. Book the call. You'll be glad you did.